election. Her offense, breaching Article 286 of the Asset Declarations Law of Ghana.
Article 286 puts timelines on asset declaration. It doesn't say that you should wait and sit down till somebody files a petition before you rush to go and declare. No, Article 286 says 3 months before the assumption of office, and it must be done within every 4-year tenure.
And later here on Newsnight, man who whipped his 3-year-old son with wire for bedwetting, sentenced to 24 months in prison and will sign a bond of good behavior for the next 4 years. We're live in court later in business.
Securities and Exchange Commission finalizes bailout talks with Ministry of Finance for customers, the defunct fund management firms.
And one dead and another missing after 6 hours of torrential rains in Accra and other parts of the country.
Whether we like it or not, we are moving into the stage where, in terms of flood philosophy, we have to learn to live with flood. And I think that is the concept of integrated flood risk management.
We'll find out how and hear from the Meteorological Agency warning there will be more rains. And as we continue our celebration of some of Ghana's music greats, we throw the spotlight on gospel music duo Tego Sisters, who've been lifting the nation with their worship for more than 2 decades.
And you want to join us with your views and comments here on Newsnight 0244340437. I am Ernest Manu.
And I am Emefa Apawu.
Now, some university lecturers have warned the Electoral Commission to tread carefully as it embarks on an exercise to compile a new voters register. In an 8-page open letter to the EC Chair, Jean Mensah, the group highlighted 4 reasons the registration exercise may not provide a credible role, thus denying a free and fair 2020 election. Emefa Apawu has a copy of that statement. Emefa, what are they saying in this open letter to the EC?
I'll take you to the 4 points. I know you're also curious to know who these professors are. We'll go through that as well. But it starts by saying that we are particularly worried about the decision to compile a completely new voters register, given that our country's constitutionally scheduled presidential and parliamentary elections are about 6 months away. The decision is puzzling for a number of reasons. So one, it says the existing register has been used by your office to conduct the following: 2012 presidential and parliamentary elections, 2016 presidential and parliamentary elections, a referendum to create 6 new administrative regions, a by-election at the Ayawaso West Wogon constituency, and a district assembly elections in 2016. And the second point says we are worried about the international image of our country and wish to draw your attention to the negative effects of your decision to compile a new voters register, as that conduct will violate Section 2, Article 2.1 of Protocol on Democracy and Good Governance supplementary to the protocol relating to the mechanism for conflict prevention, amongst others. Then it also says, point 3, it says, in the wake of the outbreak of COVID-19, there's a likelihood that any process of voter registration would defeat the principles of social distancing and compromise the health of many reasons. Here are the 4 points.
Yes, it says, and still on point 3, it says that nothing should take precedence over healthy human lives, and so there's a considered view that the existing voters register is updated as was done prior to both the recent referendum and district assembly elections to pave way for first-time voters to exercise their right to participate in the electoral processes. Point 4 says, while we are happy to support the Electoral Commission coming up with solutions to clearly define problems, we are still unclear as to the specific problems and challenges the decision to compile a new voters register is intended to solve. And that's very interesting. Although a new register as you planned cannot be possible given the proximity to our scheduled elections, we implore your office to provide evidence of the specific challenges it seeks to address with the register, and we are happy to participate in constructive deliberations to assist your office with alternative policy options that will enhance our electoral credibility. But Emefa, I want you to run by us the list that you have of lecturers who signed on to this letter.
So we have a list of 100. Obviously, I cannot go through all. So
all of them, but a notable one.
Of course. So we have Professor Fred Binka, who is a former Vice Chancellor, University of Health and Allied Sciences. We have Professor Joshua Labi, for instance, a former Vice Chancellor, University of Professional Studies, UPSA, and a field aspirant in the NDC presidential race. And then also Professor Avia Inso is a College of Languages Education at Jumako, University of Education, whenever. We also have Professor Clement Opoku Okra, is at Radford University. We have Professor Raymond Atuguba, at the University of Ghana. We have Professor George Odro, the former Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast. We also have Dr. Michael Pesa-White, who is with the University of Ghana, Legon. And of course, we have Dr. James G.
And he contested the Shai Osudoku seat in the last election.
And we also have Dr. Paul Butako, University of Professional Studies.
That's interesting because the Paul Butako that we know is at the University of Ghana, unless there's been a recent change. There's also the Dr. Opokwajiman as well, my good friend who is at the English department of the University of Ghana. Very interesting list there.
Well, we've been joined on the phone by Professor Salah. Professor Anthony Salah is one of those who appended their signatures to this open letter. He's with the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GIMPA. We are grateful for your time here on Newsnight. So this open letter, some would say, has come in a little too late. Where we are, plans are far advanced. You're hopeful that the EC will listen. It appears we don't have Professor Salah on the phone just yet, but earlier he spoke to my colleague Gifty Andoapia on the post.
Whether EC changes its posture or not is not necessarily the issue, but then we also wanted to know that there are university lecturers, there are citizens who are not really in tune or in line or follow her arguments as to why you should have a new register, because it's totally unnecessary, it's totally not needed, waste of resources. We used the same register in 2012, we used the same register in 2016, and then the same register we had our president elected, I believe, 1.5 million votes difference and so on. We used the same register to create the new regions, and then even the recent district elections. So what's the big deal there? Americans say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So why this kind of bellicose and belligerent attitude that he wants to do it, why is it that? And when we know after elections, we want to be sure that the one who has won and the one who has been defeated, they should all accept the outcome. But if it is in a way where one party thinks that, the cards are decked against him, and then we've noticed elections have brought problems to our continent, whether it's Kenya, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and other places, and we feel that we should lend our voices to that, because for evil to triumph, I'm not saying what she's doing is evil, but for evil to triumph is for good men to sit down and do nothing about it. And we don't want to get up one day and think that, we should have said something. So we've said it now. So it's on record.
So you are against the compilation of the new voters register. Right now, a while ago, my colleague in Parliament, our parliamentary affairs correspondent, just reported that a voting process has ended, and it has the CI that was laid before Parliament and asking that the NHIA or the NHIS, etc., rather that the NIA, the Ghana card and passport are the requirements to be registered in this process, has been approved. Essentially, the EC can go forward with the process.
One may ask, I believe we had, is it 12 votes to 9? If I'm
yes, that's correct? What they said at the press conference.
Yeah, so which means we are voting along party lines, and that's not healthy for us as a country. Okay? It's not healthy. Why are all the MPP parliamentarians voting 12 and all the NDC people voting 9? So that's not healthy for us as a democracy.
Speaking of...
So the thing is, what we have to do is that why new register? And if we're going to spend another $140 million, and with even House of Chiefs, Office of the Imam, Christian Council, other people, they have also added their voices of caution. So if all these citizen groups are not saying that, okay, take it slowly or let's go back and so on. Why is the majority pushing it? Is it that because you're in the majority, whatever you want to get it done? No.
Prof, talking about
the majority.
Talking about party lines, voting along party lines, are you not concerned that this group that has come out to speak will be tagged, will be given a political tag, given that, for example, Professor Joshua Alabi is a part of this group. He is indeed a former rector of the University of Professional Studies, but he's also contested in the NDC elections. Aren't you concerned that as university lecturers you'll be roped into the politics?
Oh, well, sure. People may rope us into the politics, but then we are not politicians. I have not run for any office. There are other people who have never even run for any office or held any political position. But even that, okay, if you look at 12 verses 9, then there is something, because previously when we were having voters, there were consultations, inter-party consultations, NDC, NPP, CPP, and what do you have? But this time we are not having that. So it's like the leading party or the government which appointed the EC, and the EC is pushing something down our throats, and we don't think that is fair. I mean, we know if we have the present government won the elections and had all these parliamentarians, so what is wrong with this voters register? All of a sudden, we woke up one morning and we realized that there's a problem with this voters register and we need to fix it. But we've been using it over the years, and nobody has complained about it.
Okay.
Now you're going to insist that even if you are.
And of course, this is your election headquarters. Now, a pastor accused of threatening the life of the Electoral Commission chairperson, Jean Mensah, has been charged after his arrest earlier today. Apostle Kwabna Owusu Ejay faces 3 charges, including threat of death and possessing narcotic drugs. Now, he was seen in a viral video threatening to kill Madam Jean Mensah for leading the compilation of a new voters register. This was what transpired during his arrest today.
No. Please. How come? No, this one there. No. How come? And we are live here, and we are happy.
So that is what transpired earlier today when he was arrested. My colleague Kwesi Parker Wilson has details of the statement of offense. He joins me in the studio. Parker, what are the details of the offenses and the charges leveled against him?
Right, so for the first offense, we are told that with intent to put Mrs. Jean Mensah into fear of death, they threatened to kill the said Mr. Jean Mensah, and thus is the EC boss. And the statement of offense is that threat of death, contrary to Section 75 of Criminal and Other Offences Act, Act 29 of 1960. Now, the second, we are told that it's offensive conduct conducive to the breach of the peace, contrary to Section 207 of Criminal and Other Offences Act, Act 29 of 1960. And the final charge, we are told that possessing narcotic drugs, contrary to Section 2 of PNDC law. And thus it says that within the duration of this court, the police did have in your possession a quantity of narcotic drugs without lawfully authority. So these are the particular offense and the statement of offense as to the police report we have.
Thank you very much, Parker, for bringing us those details. We'll stay with the Electoral Commission, Emefa.
Because tonight, the Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, ASEPA, has petitioned President Akufo-Addo to remove Madam Jean Mensah from office as the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. Now, the pressure group secured a declaration from the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice Shroud that Mrs. Mensah failed to declare her assets on assumption of office in 2018, but subsequently took remedial steps to do so when it was brought to her attention in the petition to investigate same. You have a copy of that petition?
Yes, I have a copy of it, and let me bring you portions of that petition. It is signed by the Executive Director of ASEPA, Mensah Thompson, and it says that the undersigned hereby petition for the removal of from office of Jean Mensah as chairperson of the Electoral Commission under Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution of Ghana. The undersigned petitioner is a Ghanaian citizen and the executive director of the Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, that's ASEPA, a public accountability civil society organization registered under the laws of Ghana. That Article 286 enjoins the respondent to file a record of her assets and liabilities 3 months before the assumption of office with the Auditor General's Department, the respondent here being the Electoral Commission chairperson. That on the 12th of December 2019, the undersigned filed a complaint with the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ, against the respondent's failure to comply with the provisions of Article 286. That on 8th of June 2020, the undersigned petitioner received a report from SHRAJ on the above petition. Kindly find attached an Exhibit 1, or that's a copy of SHRAJ's report on the asset declaration case filed by the complainant. And Emefa, you have a copy of that.
Yes, I've been looking at that report also, and we know that the SHRAJ recommended or strongly advised Madame Jean Mensah not to let this recur. We know same advice was given to the Chief Justice, knowing that she has to do it every 4 years. So the chronology of events, we know that the SHRAJ received that petition to investigate Madame Jean Mensah for not declaring her assets when she resumed office in 2018. So in December 2019, thereabout, SHRAJ wrote to the Auditor General to inquire to find out if that has been done. It came out that it had not been done. The Auditor General responded in January thereabout and responded that it has not been done. So SHRAJ then wrote to Madame Jean Mensah, and then she subsequently submitted her receipt of doing or rectifying the anomaly. So further checks were made, and then all this happened whilst investigations were still underway. Then she provided evidence that it's been done. So SHRAJ went on to then check with the Auditor General's Department, the Audit Service, to be sure that that had been done. So it came out that it's been done. They even provided copies of her asset declaration to SHRAJ. So it looks like what then can be done at that point, because Act 550, which is the law, it does not give a clear, elaborate sanction, because it's just broad. So it comes down to the discretion of SHRAJ, and they have to act within the confines and the law. So then they came to the conclusion that she has to be strongly advised not to let this recur, and that ensure that she will do same in the next 4 years.
Let's go to the phone lines now and speak to the petitioner, who is also the executive director for ASEPA, Mensah Thompson. Thank you very much for joining us. So I'm going through your petition, and it appears the only basis for this petition and for the request you're making, invoking Article 146, is that the respondent, which is the Electoral Commission chairperson, failed to provide details of her asset declaration, of her assets in essence. That is the basis on which you are making this petition to the president.
Exactly, and that is why we decided not to even make the allegation by petitioning the president straight, but we have to petition first. We have to first file a complaint with an investigative body like SHRAJ to investigate the matter, so that we can have some proof that indeed she has not declared her assets and liabilities in accordance with Article 286, and that's exactly what we did. Now, once SHRAJ has admitted that indeed, as at the time that we filed our complaint, which was 15 months clear of the time that Mrs. Jean Mensah assumed office as Electoral Commissioner, she had not complied with the provisions of Article 286. Now, there are a number of questions arising with the SHRAJ decision on the fact that she later went to the Auditor General on February 17, 2020 to declare. Again, I'm sure there's a reason why the framers of the Constitution put a timeline on when this asset declaration should be done. Because it is not the same. Declaring your assets 3 months before or upon assumption of office is not the same as declaring your assets 18 months. Because within 18 months, a lot of things can happen. And so the question that we are asking is, her assets and liabilities that she filed on the 17th of February 2020, was it her assets and liabilities as at 17th February 2020, or it was her assets and liabilities as of 1st August 2018 when she was sworn in as Electoral Commission? So as we speak, we don't know the assets and liabilities of Madame Jean Mensah when she assumed office as an electoral commissioner. And that is dangerous for the position that she is occupying, because it's a position where people may want to influence your decision, where it is easy for money to exchange hands, because people may want to have some sort of influence on what you do there at the commission. Then you find the electoral commissioner being involved in such a grave, violation of a major provision of the Constitution. And so clearly that cannot be acceptable. And the fact that she's a lawyer of many years standing who understands clearly the legal ramifications of some of these things, it's almost unforgiving for her not to have done this, within the stipulated time. And so we don't think that the fact that she went to declare on the 7th of February 2020 is enough to exonerate her from violating the Constitution 18 clearly after assuming office. And that is why we are invoking Article 146.
And I'm wondering how you trigger 146 when Shraj has indeed gone ahead to caution her against repeating same and to ensure that she complies with the 4-year tenure declaration.
I think that we used a very legal procedure here. You see, with 146, the President is supposed to send a petition to the Chief Justice, who will set up a panel to investigate the matter. Now, we have made the work of the panel easier by asking Shraj to even investigate the matter first. So, Shraj's caution here is irrelevant. Shraj, the point that we wanted to get from Shraj is whether, as of 12 December 2019, when we filed our complaint with Shraj, Madam Jane Mensah had declared her assets and liabilities in accordance with law, which clearly have told us that it is true. She had not declared her assets and liabilities. So for us, that is what we wanted, and we have it. And now, that is what we are standing on to ask the President that this constitutes stated misbehavior. A breach of the Constitution is stated misbehavior. And so she must be removed from office immediately. And we all know that there's a precedent. The previous commissioner was removed from office on the basis of breaching the procurement law. And so if the current commissioner has said the after declaration law, why should she be left in office?
So I'm looking at Article 146, which you have invoked now, and it says that a justice of the Superior Court or chairman of the regional tribunal shall be removed from office except for stated misbehavior or incompetence or on grounds of inability to perform the functions of his or her office arising from infirmity of body or mind. Which of these qualify the reason you are citing for her removal?
Stated misbehavior. A breach of the Constitution is stated misbehavior, and we have stated the misbehavior she did. She failed to declare her assets and liabilities in accordance with law. One of the things that provide proper checks and balances, she failed to comply with it. Stated misbehavior.
But of course, you asked Shraj to investigate. Shraj, which is clothed with the powers, have issued a caution to her. That is not enough. But it appears that you're not wasting any opportunity to draw blood or your pound of flesh from Madam Jane Mensah, not so?
No, Shraj cannot. You see, Shraj is just supposed to provide a recommendation. Shraj move the electoral commissioner chairperson from office. Shraj cannot recommend for a removal. Shraj doesn't have that power. Shraj can only investigate and bring out the outcome. Now, what we do, the outcome is solely in our purview as the petitioners, and that is exactly what we have done.
We are grateful for your time. That's Emefa Thompson, is the executive director of ASEPA. Let's bring in lawyer Martin Pebu. We are grateful for your time here on Newsnight, lawyer Martin Pebu. So we are told that Madam Jane Mensah is said to have breached Article 286 by 18 months or so. So an article which enjoins Article 71 office holders to submit to the Auditor General written declarations of the assets. Question then is, can she be impeached after moving to correct a wrong action?
Well, there is no fixed answer. It all depends. But even from your questioning, you can see that you've raised a salient point about double jeopardy, meaning that when the commissioner decided, so the Shraj commissioner's sanction was a strong admonition to her. In law, we'll tell you that even when the judge, as punishment, whacks the finger at you, it's also punishment. So what you were raising in your questions to Mr. Emefa Thompson is that is there a case of, so to speak, double jeopardy, for lack of a better word, that you shouldn't punish her twice. That's what you're raising. But our jurisprudence is still developing. So they have put in the petition, we'll see how it will be dealt with when the committee looks at it. But you see, the larger context of it is that you see that this is a law that has ensnared even the Chief Justice. You see, so many public officers, so many of them will be caught if we were to bring this matter up in respect of all our public officers. That is those who are supposed to declare their assets. So for me, it appears that this is a new awakening to us. We are drawing the line under the sun that, okay, we've breached this law enough, but going forward, we should all try to stay within.
Well, let's talk about Article 287 quickly. The article that gives powers to the Strat, for instance. Do you see it as fit for purpose in this day and age?
Not at all. It is not, because you see, it doesn't try to narrow down what the commissioner should do. It just says that he should he should sanction the person as he deems fit. For emphasis, let's read it since it's short. It says, the Commissioner for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, or the Chief Justice, as the case may be, may take such action as he considers appropriate in respect of the results of the investigation or the admission. You say, so from admonition to recommending that the person be sacked, to recommending that the person be suspended for 1 year, and so on and so forth. Any of them, could have been any of them. So it's better that moving forward, maybe the Strat Act can be amended to specifically provide for this and perhaps give some guidelines, especially as you know. So now that the commissioner gave the EC chair a warning, so this admonition, if it happens the next time, then maybe you can say, okay, ask for the remover, and so on and so forth. But the other side is, I don't know if I'm running ahead, the law itself is too weak. Mm-hmm. It's too weak. Look, all these asset declaration things, we've been calling for an activation of Article 286 itself, 2864, which says that when you come into office and you acquire some assets that you cannot justify, it will be deemed that the public officer acquired them through corruption. But we've not been using the law. Public officers come and go. Once in a while, then somebody goes to make a report. It's not enough. Look, we should have the commission should have a standing department. At the exit of all of those public officers, they appear before the commission to justify the assets that they've since acquired. And if I'm not kidding you, look, Ghanaians will cooperate. People will bring information to show how much assets people have acquired since coming into office. And then that would make the law very effective. But currently, we've just left it. Only once in a while, then somebody goes to report that Mr. X has acquired some assets unlawfully. We are too few. Let's make it mandatory that at the time all of the Article 71 office holders are leaving, they must appear before the commission to justify their assets.
We'll have to leave it here. We're grateful for your time, Mr. Martin Pebu, a private legal practitioner. There, we've been talking about that petition forwarded to the presidency. But I've been checking at the presidency also. We are told that they are yet to receive that petition. We're following it closely and see what happens.
We checked specifically at the Communications Directorate of the presidency, and they're yet to receive that. Even though, when you look on the face of this document, it has a stamp that says receipt. Office of the President, reception, and one Daniel Ofori with a contact on it. The presidency is here to receive this. You're still listening to Newsnight, and still to come here as we continue our celebration of some of Ghana's music greats. We throw the spotlight on gospel music duo Tego Sisters, who have been lifting the nation with their worship for more than 2 decades.
And come on, and come on,
it is great. And 2, it's not easy, but togetherness, I believe if I love her and she loves me, by all means we will make headway.
Beautiful song there. It's now time for business, and George is here. George, you love them?
Of
course, that has to be the vintage.
Which one?
Tego Sisters.
Okay.
You know, and
which one of them?
stay in my heart, in my heart, in my heart.
Very old
Live
one.
in my heart every day.
Amen.
Precious Jesus.
Okay, it's okay.
What's in business, Joe?
Well, coming up in business, Securities and Exchange Commission finalizes bailout talk with Finance Ministry for customers. The defunct fund management firms will be getting you more details on that one. And customers of petroleum products want to brace themselves for more hikes at the pumps in the coming weeks. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials. And First National Bank, we are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank, how can we help you? And it has been 25 years of providing relevant financial news and analysis to the business community.
When you want it, just Momo it. When you tire for the long queue in the supermarket, just Momo it. And when you really want that beautiful new blouse, just Momo it. And when you won't get that, when you will get fresh to impress, and you know who, just Momo it. And when you need to pay that your utility bill and domestic staff set, just Momo it. And when you want to send love to the family for back home, just Momo it. So many ways when you go to use your MTN Momo wallet, make payment with Scan to Pay. When you go use the QR code, or you can use the merchant ID or on bank POS terminal. You can also transfer money between mobile money wallet and bank account, all on MTN Momo. Enjoy real convenience in all your financial transactions and live life the vital way with MTN Momo. We are good together. Just Momo. We're there for you everywhere you go.
The rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Books and Stationery. Everybody's going to the one and only shop. With customer satisfaction, it's a guarantee. Kingdom Books and Stationery.
Oh yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and our free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takoradi.
Call us on 0302-764-101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
The moms and dads out there, we are bringing school to the radio. The Ministry of Education, the Ghana Education Service, GBC, and USAID are starting an exciting new radio education program. It is the Ghana Learning Radio, the reading program. Beginning 16th June 2020, some of your favorite primary school teachers will take you and your child through exciting, interactive, and easy to follow radio lessons that will contain stories, interactive games, and humorous characters. We are planning 2 sessions of reading for B1 to B3 for your child from 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, with repeats on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays from 4 to 5 p.m. During this outbreak of COVID-19, stay safe and get ready for a whole new way of learning. Tune into the fun on Unique 95.7 FM Accra and all GBC radio channels nationwide. Learn to read, read to learn. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Education, GES, GBC, and USAID.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, the Securities and Exchange Commission is finalizing discussions with the Finance Ministry that will result in the bailout package for customers of the defunct fund management companies. The move has been stated by after the budget for these projects was actually increased due to the partial completion of validation of claims. Let's hear from Reverend Daniel Ogbamitete. He is the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission.
We are engaging the ministry on what bailout package will be able to provide for affected investors. Now, the process that we are following is the liquidation process. Ordinarily, the liquidation process must end, then liquidation proceeds will be used by the official liquidator to sort out the affected investors. In this case, government has indicated that it would throw in some support. The only thing is that government wants to see a validated position. So we are still engaging with government to be able to determine exactly what we're doing in terms of providing, relief to support the affected investors. Now, when we are clear on these things, then we'll be in a position to make a definite announcement on when and how. Now I am aware that a lot of people are hurting because some of them are pensioners, some of them are sick, and so on and so forth. And I had to go out to them. I just want to say that we are not oblivious to what people may be going through as a result of this. But we are working hard, through the processes to be able to come up with something would ease the pressure that people are facing in the coming weeks.
Back to the discussions that you might be having with the Ministry of Finance as well. How far has it gone, and do you foresee that the budget that you need or the money that you need might be more than what you initially estimated to take care of this cost?
When the process started in 2019, you'll recall the Minister in his 2020 budget made a provision of 1.5 billion to support the asset management industry. Now, looking at the recent development and the value of the filed claims, which is over 12 billion. But let me quickly also just update you in the sense that so far the validation has even brought the value of the filed claims to a little over 10 billion. So there is some progress in that space. So given all of that, the conversation now is on government doing more than the original intent.
Reverend Daniel Ogbamitete is the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Be prepared to pay more for the price of petroleum products in the coming weeks. That's the warning coming from the Association of Oil Marketing Companies. Now, this has been influenced by current dynamics on the international market, resulting in crude prices going up. Let's hear from Kwekwa Jimandia. He's the Chief Executive of the Association of Oil Marketing Companies.
The outlook is we're going to have a rough ride. We should be bracing ourselves for a rough ride. It's good on the crude oil side for the state because our budget revenue, will now come up. But on the other side, at the downstream end, it's a rough ride.
Not that the members and even some of the service stations are complaining about margins. For you think that Joy 99.7. You think that we should take a second look at
this kind of thoughts about people in the oil industry. The oil is money. So if you cash cow, wherever I have a station, MMDAs own their own. It's the investment somebody has made. MMDAs in their own. Government also put the taxes on it. Like boss margin also coming in stream. The fellow who is really investing the money is getting like 5%. That's it. You take it's about 5% of the whole lot of the margin. And that has been a big issue. And
Kwekwa Jimandia is Chief Executive of the Association of Oil Marketing Companies. Now, more than 60% of applicants, the application actually sent to the National Board for Small-Scale Industry with the 1 billion cedi stimulus package are coming from females. Now, this was contained in a statement issued by the board today. Now, 28% of the application also came from those who are coming from the Ashanti region. And the National Board for Small-Scale Industry has indicated that it will start disbursing funds to qualified applicants, that is, this week. Now, the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research is pushing for more corporate support to help fast-track investigations into local medicine for curing COVID-19. It follows challenge in securing funding for some of these local herbal drugs and medicines submitted for testing at the center. Director of the Institute, Professor Ibrahim Kobnan, said that when intravenous institution donated 1 million liters of intravenous fluid to the institute.
There's a lot of hope because we've received quite a number of drugs that are potentially to be screened for COVID-19. And as we begin to do that, we'll be able to tell. But there is hope because it is likely that some of these potential expected products, they turn out to be very, very promising and sometimes even a complete solution. To do the testing, I would say that it will take us a few weeks And one of the major challenges that we have to do with testing is that usually it requires some inputs of resource, and most of the people who bring drug candidates are not capable of providing the financial support to do that.
That's the director of the Nguchi Memorial Institute, Professor Abraham Kobnan, and speaking to Joy Business, when Intravenous Infusion donated 1 million liters of intravenous fluid to the institute. And that's all for Business on Newsnight. Back to you, Kojo and Emefa.
Thank you very much, George, for bringing us business. Let's go to Kumasi now. A man who whipped his 3-year-old son with wire for bedwettings was sentenced today to 24 months in prison and will sign a bond to be of good behavior for 4 years. The court says if the accused is to break his bond of good behavior, he will serve a jail term for 4 years. Erastus Asaridonko has been following this story. He broke it on this network, and this essentially is the end of it, Emefa, if I can put it that way. Erastus, first of all, tell us about the demeanor of this man in court, because initially he had pleaded not guilty, then his charge was changed. Tell us about proceedings in court today.
Today, he didn't have much to say except his lawyer who stood up and made a case for the court to read Proverbs 22:15, which says that there is foolishness on the heart of a child, and that is the king that can remove it, and says that unfortunately the Bible did not spell out how many strokes of the cane will remove that foolishness, and so his client abused it whilst trying to correct his child, and so the court should be lenient with him. And the judge took all this into consideration: the age of the convict, the fact that he wants the convict to come back to look after his child, and so he gave him 24 months in jail, and then to sign a bond of good behavior for 4 years.
Out of the boy in court today.
The boy was outside the court, and the moment that the sentence was given and the convict was supposed to be brought out, the boy came in, hugged me first, and then asked me, "Where is my father?" And then I said, "He's inside the court. I want to see him." And then he said, "I want them to give him an injection. I want them to put him in jail." Those were his own words as we recorded them. Then soon after the convict was brought out, he started confessing to Love News exclusively, and we'll be playing that interview later, and telling us what really went wrong. He says that he's been having mental episodes for 13 years, and that it wasn't him to punish his child that way. He's remorseful. He broke down in tears outside the court and begged for forgiveness.
How is the boy doing, by the way?
The boy is doing fine. Most parts of the back, which held the larger part of the injury, is healed now. It's only the scars you could see, and the mother is trying to apply ointments and other creams to make sure that the scars go completely. And so he's hale and hearty, and today he was in high spirits.
And Erastus, let me congratulate you for doing a good job on this. You broke the story, you followed it through to a logical conclusion, and that's a good job done, Erastus.
That's our colleague Erastus Asaridonko. It's still your election headquarters here on Newsnight. Some NPP delegates in the Adansi-Asokwa constituency in the Ashanti region have issued a 48-hour ultimatum to the National Executive Council to have incumbent MP Katie Hammond run unopposed. The group claims that Katie Hammond's main contender, Samuel Bingfo, was first disqualified by the National Vetting Appeals Committee. However, the General Secretary of the party, John Bwedu, announced this week that Mr. Hammond and another contender, Samuel Bingfo, would face off in in the primaries. Well, the group believes that's an oversight and wants the party to immediately reverse the decision, else they go to court. They're trying to exhaust all the internal avenues before they go to court. Hence, the 48-hour ultimatum that they've issued to the party. We'll be asking the party about this latest development. But we've been joined on the phone, thankfully, by the Member of Parliament for Adansia Sokwa, Mr. Katie Hammond. We're grateful for your time here on Newsnight. This group and this communication we have from them, do they have your support on this particular issue?
How are you? Good evening to your listeners. Let's get the perspectives right. It's not a group. Yes, they have my support, absolute, unflinching support. It is the former, in fact, the immediate past chairman of the party who has been around since the inception of the party, 1992, when he became organizer, right through to become chairman, district chief executive and chairman, when he handed over to the current chairman. And then the secretary, current secretary, who was acting secretary, who was assistant secretary, and who is the secretary, who has been around for 10 years. These are the two people who petitioned the institutions that are identified. Now, what they say is that they are aware that ultimately, when this matter went to the steering committee meeting, the individual mentioned, Samuel Belfo, was disqualified. They further say that following that, there was a subsequent steering committee meeting. Again, the decision to disqualify Belfo was confirmed. And then at the National Executive Meeting, which is the highest body in terms of this, on these matters, on the 3rd of June, the National Executive Committee did not change the decision that this individual, Samuel Benfo, was disqualified. So, all intents and purposes, as far as they knew, Samuel Benfo was disqualified. It then becomes an issue if there is an authority higher than the NEC who would have authorized the General Secretary to come up with the names that would have, particularly the name of Samuel Benfo, to contest when he has been disqualified. That's why they're giving the ultimatum to the party, and that's why they intend to vote.
And on what grounds was he disqualified? Do you know?
That's an entirely different matter. If you want me, yes, I do know, because I did petition as well. I have been in the constituency for 20 years. The chairman who petitioned has been there from 1992. You can count. The secretary has also indicated, has been there for 10 years. I have not once seen the young man in the constituency. Them also say that they don't know him. Suddenly he springs from somewhere to contest. There are rules in our constitution who can and who cannot contest. And there is also a further issue that he instigated the brutality that was meted to the secretary, that who was the witness on television. So these matters were brought to the attention of the vetting committee, all of them. Okay. This the investigation was put into effect.
But when you heard the announcement this week that he's been cleared to contest you, for instance, the group or the members, the delegates have stated that it may be an oversight. Have you sought personally to find out from the party why a disqualified candidate will be cleared to contest you?
The letter has gone. I mean, they've written the letter. I'm content with the content of the letter. Okay. Happy to await the outcome of it. It's 48 hours. It doesn't take long to sort these matters out. Clearly, if it is an oversight, of course, if it is not an oversight and it is a deliberate attempt by somebody, then we'll deal with it. MPP is a party of a rule of law. It's not a party of rule of men. No, we eschew that. We don't have that. Party of rule of law. So I don't perceive anybody in the MPP who is higher than NEC. So if NEC hasn't taken a decision, it doesn't sit in the mouth of anybody to put words in the mouth of NEC.
Is it that, Mr. Ketiamon, that you may have stepped on some toes, for which reason you're being punished for this?
I mean, you're not being fair to me. I think you're not being fair to me. The individuals are quite unhappy about the decision. They have petition the national authorities to sort it out. Can we not leave it at that?
Personally, you don't have any suspicions because the word is that you are not in the good books of some persons, for which you've just mentioned that the NPP is a party of laws and not is not for men, though, that you've mentioned. So I'm seeking to find out if that is really not the case of what is actually happening now that we are seeing. Are you not being punished?
I wouldn't know. Whatever you know, please let me know. You seem to know more than I do, so please let me into your little secret.
I wouldn't know more than you would.
We'll let it go then.
And do you suspect that somebody or some people are pushing an agenda to have you contested at the constituency?
If I suspected, I would tell you at this stage.
But the tone of the letter, though, doesn't sound as though you want to draw the attention of the party to this. It is quite instructive. You are issuing ultimatums. Wouldn't that send wrong signals?
No. What's the wrong signal? I mean, I'm not writing it, but the lawyers are writing. But I said I'm comfortable with it. I'm comfortable. I know what it is. So I don't quite get it. No, I mean, I made a point. It's the individuals who are going to court. They are going to court. So signals, no signals. I'm quite happy to let it stay as it is.
There are those who also think that you are afraid of a contest.
Nonsense. I'm absolutely bothered. I've always said that people who qualify should contest me, but people who don't qualify have no right within our constitution to qualify to contest.
We're grateful for your time. We wish you all the best. That's KT Hammond. He's a member of parliament for Adanse Asokwa constituency. Well, in the region, though, at the regional level, we know that the leadership of the NPP says is beginning arbitration in all 44 constituencies as tension mounts over the disqualification of some parliamentary aspirants. So 17 out of 44 sitting MPs are to run unopposed in the impending primary. Some disqualified aspirants are crying foul already. The regional secretary, Sampine, attempts to offer some reasons for the disqualification of some aspirants.
Some were disqualified per Article 3 of the party's constitution, 3 and 4 of the party's constitution. That is checking of the responsibility as a party member, misconduct, certain misconduct. Others do not meet the criteria for the selection put out by the party's constitution. 3, there were other petitions that we received from persons within the society.
But again, Sam, you and I know that people have been there before, like Hilda Hado. She passed to contest before, now she's no more there. Antonio, so people saying, so with these people...
Thank you very much for this question. We don't look at what we did in the past. We have a committee in place. Even if they were not disqualified and they go for contest. There are others who lose, and as the president said, you have desperate losers. In all of these matters, we need to build bridges. So we have a committee who's looking at arbitration and reconciliation and all that. We look at it, we invite them, we talk to them on matters.
That's the regional secretary of the NPP, Sampine. Let's do sports now. Benedict also is in the studio. I have issues, but we'll talk about it later.
What do you want to say?
What's in sports?
You have a land?
I have what?
You have a land?
There's who is asking.
Okay, let's do sport. Let's do sport.
Well, life patron and honor of Asante Kotoko 2482, the second, has banned the club from signing any player for at least a season. Now, this was revealed by the Chief of Staff at Manchia, Kofi Bedu, at today's meeting of the new board led by Dr. Kwamiche. My colleague Kevin Owusu-Ansah has been following this, and I asked him what reaction, what's been a reaction in Kumasi since this announcement.
Reaction from the fans and all over in here. Some believe that for Santiago Toko to get back on the highest rank of the ladder when it comes to football in Ghana and Africa, where the focus is, they should be getting the best players on the continent, if not on the continent, at least in the country. So for the transfer ban to be placed on the team at this moment will become a bit difficult. Some of the notion that, and as much as they would want to do away with high spending, if you want to build a very vibrant academy, you need to bring in the best of quality, good quality young talent, and they feel that with the ban on getting in players, it will be very difficult to have that vision of getting the best available young talent to build a very solid academy. So that has been a bit of a worry for some of the fans, as well as some of the football enthusiasts who are following Asante Kotoko's issues with keen interest.
So that was Kevin Owusu-Ansah. You hear more from him on tomorrow's edition of the Joy Sports Center with George Adu Jr. Now, Liverpool midfielder Adam Lallana has agreed to extend his deal with the club until the end of the season. Also, Lisbon is a favorite to host an 8-team Champions League knockout tournament in August if it is given the go-ahead by governing body, that's UEFA. We definitely will get you there one more, don't worry. Bye.
Thank you, Benedict, for sports. Now, same script, different actors. Every year, Ghana is faced with a devastating flooding situation in which several lives are lost. This year is no exception. One person has been confirmed dead after a night of heavy rains in Accra that resulted in flooding of the Odo and Odona area and also Paraku Estate. Here in Accra, residents of many communities have been displaced. My colleague Maxwell Abeba was at Paraku where he engaged residents because we understand that one person is missing and he's feared dead.
A
worried mother of the missing man has lost hope after assessing the flood situation. She believes her son is dead. She's hoping his body will be found.
Any day you bring a young day, since I am rough, and I say, baby, I will be on your pedal.
Family members and other residents were thrown into a state of mourning. Father of the missing man says he was at a police hospital morgue but did not find his son. According to friends of the man, popularly known as SM, he was with them when it started raining around 11 p.m. so they were compelled to disperse to their rooms. After hours of torrential rains, they realized the danger and raised alarm. Many of the residents rushed to higher ground, but SM couldn't come out.
Right behind Paraku Estate. The drainage system here overflowed banks and then got into the community, destroyed all their makeshift structures. Many of them told me they do not have a place to sleep this evening. If you go just some meters away from this place, about 5 minutes walk from this place, there's a church just across the street. The Wonder Chapel International also has suffered a branch of this flood. And some church members we saw there are still busily cleaning up the place and what the flood left in its trail. All the men who live here in this community are trying to come together so they can step out and then try and look for their friend SM, who here was carried away by the flood water. Many of them think that he's dead, but some of them are actually keeping hope alive.
One that have written a book called Keep Ghana Clean Malaria and Cholera Awareness. I finished the book with that future.
And I'm looking for a means to publish the book. Could you?
Maxwell rough out that report. Very sad there. Every year we have to face this situation.
Fatigued at this point.
Let's cheer you up with something more exciting.
And more than 2 decades, they've lifted the nation with their worship. They've won souls and blessed many with their ministry. What's curious, however, is how they've managed to stay together for all these years. Is it because they are twins?
Probably. But Daughters of Glorious Jesus, they've done it for 30 years.
Yeah,
two of them are direct sisters.
They are not triplets.
Yeah, exactly. So there's more to it.
So they have a green Tego sisters on Spotlight tonight.
Handkerchiefs, dancing shoes, and a hat of gratitude. Time to take you to church with the evergreen music duo Tego Sisters.
And come on, and come on,
Since 1983, the twin sisters have been lifting praise in ways many Ghanaians continue to resonate with. Some of their popular songs, Ye Din Kunim, Ye Diko, Ye Besa Dibium, Habibiara Mano, Makuma Atomiyem, have led people to Christ, uplifted many, and offered others hope. But for over 2 decades, they have remained together.
It is great. And two, it's not easy, but togetherness, I believe, if I love